Welcome to Never Too Late for Fitness Radio, bringing baby boomers proven strategies and innovative products for getting fit, staying fit, so you can live a longer, healthier, and happier life. Here's your host, best-selling author and fitness advocate, Phil Ferris.
This is Phil Ferris, and welcome to our show. Never Too Late for Fitness Radio provides answers and straight talk about fitness, nutrition, and healthy lifestyles for people over 50. Our goal is to educate and advocate health and fitness strategies that help you to live a longer, healthier, and happier life. On some shows, we feature everyday people like you and me who have acted and reclaimed their health and fitness. We all love a success story, especially if the person is facing the same challenges we are. Hearing real success stories helps inform, motivate, and inspire us to live a healthier life. On other shows like today's, we focus on health and fitness industry professionals who share how they help their clients who are over 50 achieve their goals. Jay Croft is a veteran writer, editor, and content director. He is the founder of Prime Fit Content, that is a content service helping fitness professionals grow their businesses by engaging more people over the age of 50. He focuses on the 50-plus market because he feels it is a key market for gyms, studios, and trainers who want to plan for long-term success. He is capitalizing on the fact that the fitness industry tends to ignore or patronize older people. So he works with gym owners and professionals to save them time and money as they build relationships with people who have the time, money, and loyalty they want. Jay was a newspaper journalist for 20 years, from Alaska to Florida, and concluding at the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. Contract clients include the Coca-Cola Company and Verizon, Inc. Jay enjoys fitness, music, and travel. Thank you so much for being on the show today.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Now, you focus on developing content for the fitness industry, specifically the 50-plus population. Why did you select that demographic?
Oh, that's a great question, and there's a short version and a long version and the Russian novel version. So I'll try to stay on point with that. The short version is I saw a need. No one else is really doing it. The fitness industry is so focused on the youth market and on the things that are exciting for people in their 20s and 30s about, being attractive and having a great physique and all of that. But they're not paying as much attention to people who are a little bit older in life who have different reasons for seeking fitness or seeking to maintain their fitness. And I guess I realized it when I turned 50 myself. I'm 56 right now. And so just a few years ago, in my early 50s, I started noticing that I was invisible to fitness marketing. And I guess I noticed this because my background is in media. I'm not a trainer. I'm a professional communicator. Spent many years in mainstream media organizations, primarily newspapers, but also in large marketing and communications departments at some of the giant corporations here in Atlanta where I live. So I spent about 30 years communicating to broad audiences to get them to be involved, to understand issues, to take action, that kind of thing. So I guess because of that, I started noticing that I wasn't being talked to anymore. You know what I mean? It's like when I say it's a lot like when you watch the Grammy Awards and you realize you've never heard of any of these people. It's because pop music is marketed toward a youth market. And similarly, and that's fine. Of course, I'm not unhappy about that at all. And I like some of the pop music and, it's not a complaint. It's more a realization. And I similarly realized that I wasn't being marketed to. I've been going to the gym my whole life. I've always been fit. I've always been active. I intend to stay that way. My friends and my older siblings are that way. My mother is 83 years old. She's that way. So I just started thinking, is this a common issue? And I looked into it. as a reporter, I used to be a newspaper reporter, so I tend to dig into things and research them and talk to experts and find the facts. And the short answer is no one else is doing this. And it's such a huge market. There are approximately 100 million Americans over the age of 50. They control the majority of consumer spending. And they're not like the cliches that you and I grew up with, which maybe were true of, say, our grandparents' generation, that they weren't active and they, were more frail and whatnot. But we're living longer today. We have more money today. We're retiring earlier. We have more complex desires than to just retire to a beach community somewhere. And the fitness community has a role to play in that, which does two things. For the fitness industry, it represents a great deal of money. And if you're not marketing to the over 50 demographic, you should be, because that's where the money is. And to just sort of as a social obligation, it's providing a great need, for people who want to maintain their autonomy, maintain their safety, and live the life that they want to live, whether that involves athletics or gardening or dancing or playing with their grandchildren or finally being able to travel like they always wanted to. Those are the motivations that drive people to want to get fit or stay fit later in life. And I think they're great reasons.
But what are some other attractive things that make this demographic so valuable to gym owners, personal trainers, anybody in the fitness arena? This is a very unique group, and like you said, they have money, they have time. Yeah. What are some other factors that make them more compelling than people probably give them credit for?
Well, those are really good ones. Let's not gloss over those. Money and time. Those are fantastic assets to have in a fitness client. They also have, I think, more compelling reasons to get fit. Everybody wants to look good and everybody would like to lose some weight, and that's fine. But when you get to this point in life, your reasons for wanting to be healthy are more valuable and interesting than just wanting to be attractive. Maybe you've had a hip replacement. Maybe you've had a diagnosis of prediabetes. Maybe you don't want to fall into the same health patterns that caused your parents difficulties when they were older. The greatest fears that we have when we get older are of falling and losing our mental faculties. Exercise is this magic drug to help prevent both of those things, right? So those are really compelling reasons. If you are a trainer or you're a gym owner, I would rather be working with someone who has those interesting motivations, because they're more powerful and they're going to last longer than, well, I want to look good for my sorority reunion and my 5-year sorority union, or I want to look good for my sister's wedding next spring. Those people are going to come in, you're going to get them into shape, you're going to get them to lose the weight because you know how to do that. And then they're going to be on their way. You get someone who's in their 50s or 60s or 70s with you. They're more interesting people. They have more interesting motivation. They have more money. They have more time, and they're going to stick with you longer. The studies show that fitness clients who are a little bit older will stick with you for longer and spend more money with you over more time than younger ones. So they're just better customers, frankly.
And like you made at the point you made, as opposed to I want to get into my my bikini shape or swimsuit shape, they're in it for winning the game of life, which is how am I going to spend the next 10, 20, 30 years doing the things I want to be able to do, as opposed to a 30, 90-day window that's based on short-lived, where people are more apt to say when they're in the plus 50s, no, this is a lifestyle. This is how I keep myself doing what I want to be able to do. This is my investment in me that I perhaps didn't have time to do when I was younger, but I know I have to do it now because the consequences of not doing it can be very high because you get, you can put on weight, you can get diabetes, hypertension, all different kinds of bad things happen when you don't work out. They become aware of it because they look around and say, the people that are not working out, the people that are staying on the couches and in the recliners, they're taking years off their life. I'm adding years to my life. So yeah, that's a pretty powerful, compelling reason. But let me ask you, why don't the gym owners and the personal trainers, why aren't they doing a better job of recognizing and marketing to this group?
Well, a couple things come to mind. First of all, I think a growing number of them are. There's a slowly dawning realization about all of this. It's not happening as fast as I would like it to, or as you would just think that it would, right? And I think that's because of just some diehard stereotypes that are rooted in misinformation, but also in looking at things the way they used to be. Now, so let's compare me to, I'm 56. Let's look at how my grandparents' generation came up. They tended to live in one place, work in one place, retire at a certain age, and then you died within a few years of your retirement. And now we live longer, we travel more, we're exposed to more, we have better, we don't smoke as much, we don't drink as much, we have better diets, we exercise more, the medicine is better, healthcare is better. We're living longer. We as a society are living longer than we did as a society a generation or two ago. So a lot of our lasting images of old people or being elderly are based in things that might have been real 40 or 50 years ago, or even 30 years ago, but they're not real right now. And I think it's just the industry is slow to catch up. A lot of people go into the fitness industry, I think, because they want to, because they're drawn to that, the kind of glitzy sex appeal of it, the elitism of superior athletes or attractive physiques or that kind of thing that's driven toward marketing. And you have to remember our whole culture is youth obsessed. Everything in our culture is directed at people under 50. So fitness is part of that. I think now we're seeing slowly a realization that today's 50-year-old, 60-year-old, 70-year-old is not the same as the 50, 60, 70-year-old of previous decades. And I think there's also some stereotypes that are just, negative about that a lot of trainers and gym owners don't yet understand. Can
you give me an example of some of the stereotypes that might be getting in the way of them seeing the potential of this market?
I'll hurt them. If I train an old person, I'll hurt him, and I don't want to hurt anyone. There's that idea, right? That an old person can't come in and get a good workout. And that's just not true. What you need to do is expand your training repertoire. You learn more about how to train people who have maybe different abilities or concerns. You're not going to break them. You just have to learn a little bit more to deal with someone who maybe has had a hip replacement, or maybe someone who has chronic pain, or any of these things that not all people have after a certain age. Plenty of people who are quote unquote older have none of that. But if you're going to train them, you do need to learn a little bit about dealing with that so you can make modifications to your training. What doesn't work is to treat everybody the same. You can't treat a 65-year-old person the way that you would a 25-year-old person. That means that your job is more difficult. So a lot of them don't want to do it, right? They just want to churn them in, churn them out. And there's always going to be some new 25-year-old guy or gal who wants to come into the gym, and you know how to do that. But that's one stereotype, that I'm gonna hurt them. I think another stereotype is that they're cheap, which is just so false. You look at all the marketing data, and people who are over 50 have more money, period, and they spend more money, period, and they're more loyal customers, period. So this idea that old people are cheap and don't have any money to spend is again based in these false stereotypes that when you're older you don't have money and you're cheap and tight-fisted. I don't know where all that comes from, but it's just not true. So the more you look into it, the more you realize that these negative stereotypes might have had some basis in reality at some point in time, but they really don't anymore.
Now, recently, we've been confronted just in the last month with the COVID-19 crisis, which has totally disrupted the fitness industry, both for the members and for the trainers and the gyms out there. It's affected everybody, and it's forcing everybody to relook at how they market now and what they want to be when we get to the other side, whenever that might be. So let's talk a little bit about how that's changed the needs of people, the members, and then also then how that's forced businesses and trainers to have to change their messaging and communications approach. So how does the COVID-19 affect people over 50 and meeting their fitness needs?
Yeah, boy, we could talk about that all day. The fitness needs of people in this demographic, this diverse, large demographic, which includes everyone from elite athletes to people who are really frail and need help getting out of the chair, right? We're talking about a wide range of people. But their needs, I don't think, suddenly changed just because of the coronavirus. Their needs and desires are still the same. What they want to live the way they want to live. They want to have the ability to do what they need to do to enjoy their daily function, their daily abilities that are just required of them to do whatever they do in their daily life. And they want to be able to reach the goals and do the things that are special to them. Those didn't change. What has changed is the way that the fitness industry is going to deliver fitness to them. Right? Because obviously we can't go to the gym anymore for right now. So I think the onus, though, is on both. It's got to be on. It starts with the consumer because it's a little more difficult, isn't it? You can, I feel it. You can't just go to the gym anymore and do whatever's there and do whatever they have in front of you to do. You have to make some changes and exercise at home. And change is hard. So the need is the same, but the behavior has to change. And the behavior has to change for both the consumer and the provider. The consumer has to commit to doing it at home, and then the provider has to make the customer experience as positive and seamless and effective and safe as possible. So the consumer has to be open-minded and willing, and the provider has to take the steps to do what's necessary to provide online training, particularly for this demographic. Again, old stereotypes die hard, but here's one that I see dying in the face of coronavirus. The idea that older people refuse to learn anything online or don't want to use technology to live their lives, or they're resistant to get online, or they're afraid of technology, whatever that is. That's just not the case. It is, of course, the case for some people who are a little bit older. It's also the case, let's remember, for some people of any age and any demographic group that we're talking about. But most of the people I'm talking to, and this includes fitness consumers and fitness providers, they tend to fall into three categories in this regard during coronavirus. One is they're willing to do whatever is necessary to A, provide the training, and B, participate in the training. Or they are unwilling and they kind of get digging their heels. And some providers are saying, my people won't want to do this. I don't want to take the time to teach them. I don't want to learn how to do Zoom. I hate the computer myself. And some of the consumers are also saying the same thing. I don't want to be on my phone anymore. I don't want to learn what the hell Zoom is. Leave me alone. I just won't do this. I think the vast majority are somewhere in the middle, where they're willing to evaluate, is this worth my time and effort to learn this new thing? And more are saying, yes, it is, because they realize that their health is their responsibility. The customer is realizing that their health is their responsibility, and that's more important to them than their dislike of learning a new thing on the computer. And similarly, a lot of the healthcare providers are learning that it might take a little bit of hand-holding to get each person online, to show them how to work out via the computer. That might be a valid difference than, say people who are 25. You can just say to them, well, go to Zoom, figure it out. I think people in our demographic will figure it out. Most of them will, because they want to. And those who don't will just need a little extra hand-holding. And frankly, if you can't get all of them on board, well, you can do what you can do. Ultimately, it's up to the consumer to be responsible for their own health. It's up to the business owner to make that service as available to everyone as possible. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It's the phenomena that I've seen with the consumer is, all right, I can't go to the gym. Now my routine is broken. I used to go to the gym Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
Yes.
And Monday was this, and I did, that was chest day, and and Friday was shoulders and arms. But I had a routine that gave me the results I wanted, and I had a community. I had some accountability, whether I was working with a trainer in small group training or I just went to the gym at a certain time. That's all disrupted. And I used to have my favorite machines, and I don't have access to that in most cases. So I don't have a routine. I don't have a community. I don't have direction. I don't have motivation. I don't have equipment. I still have this need to stay fit. Mm-hmm. I'm very limited. And so what I do have time is to look online. And so what every provider is doing is they're doing something online. Mm-hmm. So there is now more fitness programs accessible to people than ever before. Mm-hmm. Now the question is it changed from brick and mortar and maybe some texting and other things to where everybody's online. Everybody's doing it, and a lot of people are doing it for free just to hang on. Mm-hmm. So the key for a business is, how do I survive during this crisis period? And then also, how do I position myself for when we get the big reset and we get to the other side? So how do I communicate with people out there so that I retain and build value? Because if I just put up more and more videos, I'm in a sea of sameness, and I'm not differentiating. And the key to what you provide is, how do you talk to an audience and use certain strategies to make sure that instead of clicking through all the different options I have, I stay with you. So talk a little bit about what you're doing to help connect the disenfranchised population with these trainers that have capabilities but don't know quite how to deliver it.
Right. Well, you've identified something that's really important. Workouts themselves instantly became a commodity. You can buy a workout program anywhere. You can probably find them just as easily for free all over the internet. Here's a workout, go do this, right? So the gym owner, the studio owner, has to do more than that, has to provide more than just the training itself. The things that come to mind most readily and that I think are the top two priorities for the fitness provider to provide for the consumer. Those are communications and community. I can get a training program anywhere, but I can't get the community that I had at the gym from anywhere. And I can't get the sense of communications from someone who knows me and who cares about me from somebody out there in the internet. The good gym owners built up community. They built up a sense of community when they had the brick and mortar. And if they want that to continue later, when we get to the other side of this, then they have to continue that sense of community now. And you can do that online. Some people I know are doing great jobs of doing it online. By using Zoom, you increase that sense of community because the user gets to see not only you, the trainer, but also all his or her other people in the class. And that's great. We're all craving connection right now, aren't we? We all are missing our friends and our acquaintances and our work colleagues. So to be able to see each other online and have that sense of community with people you already know is really, really valuable, especially, I think, for people in our over 50 demographic, because many of them might be living alone, and isolation can be a problem already in ordinary times. So the Zoom is a great way to build that community just during the workouts that they're not going to get if they download or purchase a workout from someone else. But then you can also do other things to build that community, such as maintaining your email newsletters. 3 times a week, at least, you should be communicating with all your clients and all your prospects, because you need to keep selling. You need to be selling during this time, and you need to be communicating with your current clients as well. So communicate to them with your email newsletters, with your social media accounts, and via your blogs online. The other thing is that a lot of people are getting really creative with their use of Zoom or whatever online video sharing they're using. I'd say Zoom because Zoom has quickly emerged as the leader in all of this. But whatever it is that you're using, you can use it just as easily to have coffee clatches and to have book clubs. Someone I talked to last week has been doing a trivia night for his members. So there are lots of ways to use the technology to maintain that sense of community. More broadly, beyond just the Zooming and the video, by continuing to communicate with your people via emails and social media, that's one thing you can do. Also, check on them individually. Call them once a week. How you doing? How you holding up in this? Are you enjoying the workouts? Is there something we can do in addition to that? Are there changes we can make for you? These kinds of extra steps that you take, you might think, oh boy, I don't have time for that, or is this really necessary? And I would say that it is really necessary, and you need to make time for it because your people need it. Not all of them, of course, but the ones who do need it, and everyone will appreciate it. And they will remember this, and your bonds will be strengthened so that when we do get back to, I almost said back to normal. We don't know if we'll get back to normal, but when we get to the other side, the effort that you're putting in right now to communicate with your people and to maintain your sense of community, that's what's going to pay off for you when this gets back.
Jay, one of the things that you specialize in is crafting the message in the way you deliver it. What are some tips you would give business owners in terms of how they craft their messages and how they put their communications together so that they are perceived as caring as opposed to I'm a sleazy sales guy and I want to sell you something?
Yeah. Oh, that's a really good question, because no one wants to be seen as an opportunist during a scary time. And there's a difference between being an opportunist and responsibly marketing your business. So keep that in mind, that of your clients, they came to you with a need and they still have that need. And so they want to hear from you. And of your prospects, similarly, they've expressed some sort of interest in what you're doing. So it's not like you're just going out and harassing people any more than you were before. Similarly, describing your services and charging a reasonable fee for them, that's not opportunism. Opportunism is hoarding all the Purell as fast as you can when you first heard that this was coming, and then selling it at, for $100 a bottle. So keep that in mind, that clear distinction between being a responsible business owner and being a sleazebag. You know the difference. We all know the difference. So the messages need to be consistent and clear. This is changing all the time. So we need to be consistently communicating with our people, and we need to be very clear in what we're saying. We need to be positive and supportive, but not silly. And by that, I mean, we need to say things like, we're all in this together. We're here for you to help in any way we can. We do not need to be saying things like, this is all going to be over soon and everything is going to be great, and using lots of exclamation points and happy faces, because that's just not true. And you're not an expert in what's going to happen with the coronavirus. So stay in your lane and be a good friend and neighbor. You can do that in your communications without trying to be silly about it. I think those are, you want to be of service to your people, to your clients, and to your prospects. Right now, that I think is the priority. At least it is for me. I provide content to gyms and trainers across the country, and actually in other countries as well. And that involves a certain amount of selling on my behalf or on my part. And right now I'm still selling to people who want it, but I'm also trying to be of value and of help to people, and to just encourage them to keep communicating to their people, to encourage them to be of value and of assistance, and to not be afraid to charge when the time comes. So there's an element of being helpful. That doesn't mean always giving away everything. It doesn't mean being afraid to charge. It doesn't mean being ashamed to market. But we do need to be of service to each other and to be clear in our communications. Does that help?
Yeah, that's a great answer. And something else I found, that there are a number of gyms and trainers out there that didn't lose any clients, and they're still charging full rate.
That's right.
And there are a lot of them that are signing up clients on a regular basis.
That's right.
And the biggest realization is, they say, if I know what their issues are and I can deliver a solution that will solve that, money's not the issue. They want the problem solved. And if I can still do it using Zoom or FaceTime or whatever, I am solving a problem.
Yes.
Where a lot of people just went in the hole and said, well, I can't do anything till this thing's over. And I'll just, put some online, videos up there and hope that will attract some people that will walk by and remember who I am. Mm-hmm. Where other people are saying, let me really understand your problems and let me see if I can solve it. And if I can solve it, are you willing to pay? And they go, yes. And now, exactly. so that's the part of the equation that I was surprised, because I talked to people that are, like you said, the people say, I'll wait until this thing's over before I go back in business. And other people say, no, I spun this thing, I pivoted, and we're providing more value than ever. I'm working harder than I've ever worked because I can't do what I used to do. So I got to make sure that what I do well, I really do well. And so that's right. So that's that's important. And I think another thing is that you have to over communicate as opposed to under. And that's where a service like you provide is that sometimes I say, I'm a really good trainer. I'm not a good writer. Mm-hmm. Well, hire someone that's a good writer that helps get your message out there, and
Yes.
put yourself on Zoom, because when you're training, they get to see you, and either they're going to know, like, and trust you, or they're not. And if they're not, that's okay. And if they are, you've already got that connection. But find ways to get that information out there to help people find out what their issues are, so that you're part of the solution. You're not sitting on the sidelines and waiting for something to happen. And again, it's this ongoing communication that's going to be critical, because we don't know how long this could be. Weeks, it could be months. And it's going to probably be different for different parts of the country, for different size organizations. So now's the time to build the relationship that you can leverage, not a month or 2 months from now. Does that make sense?
That's right. You're speaking. You could be my PR guy, Phil, because you're saying exactly what I'm saying to people, which is, this is not the time to go home and be quiet. This is the time to make that extra effort to communicate and to share and to be helpful to people, because everybody needs it, and because it's the only way to A, keep your business going during this time, and B, be prepared for when we finally do get through this. You can't communicate too much. And what I try to do with my content is provide the kind of information and perspective that maybe the local gym and trainer can't. What they can do is tell their community what's happening with their business and with their community. What I can do is provide content that's engaging and relevant and keeps their audience coming back to them online during this time about the broader issues of fitness for people over 50. So it's what I give them is the encouragement. I give them recipes. I give them articles about the broader picture of what's going on, not just with coronavirus, but with why we want to be healthy later in life. The lifestyle issues that motivate people to seek fitness services. Whether it's things like, being able to travel or continue to play golf and garden, or to maintain their health, or to just look better and feel better and move better. These are really powerful, timeless things that motivate this demographic. So I try to give you content that you can share with people that will get them to know you, like you, and trust you. And then you share the information about what's happening specifically with your business.
And the end result is that you've built a bond, because they trust that you understand the situation and the issues that they're facing. And that makes it a lot easier to then listen to your solution about how to stay fit.
Correct. Exactly. And you can tell when someone wants your business, because they talk to you even when they're not just trying to get you to buy something. And because they take the time to learn about what's troubling you, they take the time to learn what your problem is and how they can solve it. My content seeks to show that for the gym owner, which then shows it to their clients and prospects. And I think it's a pretty effective way to do that. It's, like I said, I spent about 30 years communicating with mass audiences. So I know how to put together material that people are going to enjoy reading. And right now that's really important. And for this demographic, people read, If I were going for the 20-something market, I'd be doing it all on Instagram, but I'm not. I'm trying to help people who will take the time to read and who will establish personal relationships with service providers. And that's what we're talking about with this market. So,
Jay, if someone wants to get a hold of you and learn more about Prime Fit content, where should they go?
Yeah. To my website, primefitcontent.com. So that's prime, like the prime of your life, fit, we want to be fit, and content, because I provide content, primefitcontent.com. I'm also on Facebook and Instagram with that same You can find me using the name of my business. And I'd love to hear from you. I've got some resources on my website that people might find valuable. They're free. You can download them now. Resources about the coronavirus, but also I've got a communications kit on there that I put together that a lot of people are really responding to, about how to carry on during a crisis, how to continue your communications during a crisis, and about how to responsibly market yourself. And then also some things that consumers will want to know, like the top 10 reasons you should be lifting weights after 50. That's still a really valid option. It's just now we might be using resistance bands or body weight, but it's still the same. And also some information about what some of the advantages are to online exercise. There are some, and it's good to know what those are. It's good for the fitness provider to know them, and it's good for the fitness consumer to know them. So check me out on primefitcontent.com.
Yeah, I can strongly recommend it because the information is very sound, and it is written for the perspective of the 50-plus person, and they'll be able to relate to it. So, Jay, I want to thank you so much for sharing the information and the insights that you've gained in working with this market, and also in navigating this unsettling time we're going through, and provide some good tips that people can use. So, thank you so much for being on the show.
Well, you're welcome, Phil. Thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed it.
All right. Well, you have a great day.
You too, Phil.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
You've been listening to Never Too Late for Fitness Radio, hosted by Phil Ferris. To learn more about the guests or resources on our show today, or to listen to past episodes, go to nevertoolateforfitness.com.